超かっこいいヒーローさ。僕もなれるかな。
Welcome, you majestic beasts, to today's video on how to improve your BP with gear and start hitting like a real hero. But before we get started, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and dislike it if you don't. And with that, let's get started. So first of all, guys, gear is massively important. So gear is huge for increasing your BP. As you guys can see here, the BP I gain from my gear is 9,250. So that's per character. So each one of my characters gains 9,250 BP from my gear. That's massive, it's huge per character, so it's something really important to look at and make sure you're doing correctly. So the first thing you want to look at is whenever you get a new piece of gear from agency assessment, which is one thing you guys should definitely be doing, you get 5 high earnings per tier on assessments, which I think lasts 3 days. So what you want to make sure is you get all 5 of those, so you can get 5 chances at legendaries, which are these ones here. I don't know if they're actually called legendaries, but I always have called them, so I think they are actually. If you go into markets, they are indeed called legendaries. There you go. Fun fact for you boys and girls. So yeah, you can get legendary gear, which is obviously much higher BP standard on the main stats, and also you generally get higher secondary stats on them. So you want to make sure you're doing them every 3 days, and you're getting your 5 earnings. So whenever you get a new piece of gear, even if it's not as high on the main stat, whenever you get a new piece of gear from agency assessment, you want to come in here and have a look at what you can transfer over. So what you can get is you can sometimes get a worse piece of gear on the base stat, but it's got a really good secondary stat. So what you can actually do is transfer the stats over to get better stats on your current gear. So if we have a look what we've got here, I've got this one here, 32 crit, so that's worse, so that's not an improvement. Here we go again, defense. I'm not too bothered about defense at the moment because I'm a glass cannon, but if you would like more defense, you can go for that. Now damage increase, here's a massive one here. So we've got damage increase plus 50. That's huge. You've also got HP as well, and you've got tenacity. So tenacity increases the bonus amount of damage you take, so it reduces the damage you take by a percentage. I'm not too bothered about that at this current state, so what I'll do here is I'll click on stat transfer, and I'll swap my tenacity for damage increase. And what you need to be careful with, sometimes when you click on the right side, it will randomly pick one over here, so it'll try and get rid of the lowest BP one, which is currently my crit damage. But I'm fine with that. I'm fine with getting rid of tenacity. So I'll do transfer, and you see my BP has just gone up 468. So that is spread across all your characters, bear in mind. So that won't be 468 per character, but that will be spread across all your characters. But that's still a net BP increase. So with that there, you've now got that increased, and the stat is gone. So that's one way to improve your BP. So whenever you get a new piece of gear, guys, you want to make sure that you're looking at the new piece and see if you can transfer any stats over to improve your gear. So with that, you'll end up with a piece of gear like this. So we'll carry on going through anything here. So we got 50 there, unfortunately that's lower. Crit damage 8, we've already got that. And then we've got damage increase 56. So same thing here. Damage increase, and then we can go for either penetration or HP. Now, personally, I've been going full damage on everything because I haven't really had much issues with survivability. But I imagine as we get further into the game, we may have to start gearing more towards HP and defense. Which actually, as we hit level 60, you'll see here, we've got the extra slot. So at level 60 we get an extra slot, which means we can fit in an extra defensive stat. So it may even be that we start using HP and defense and maybe get rid of either damage increase or penetration. Or we may just have HP as the last stat. We won't know until we get to that stage. But currently I've been going pretty much full damage and haven't been having any issues. So that's what I've been going with. So I'm going to swap that here. So, and then you'll see up 900 BP. So that's improved my BP overall by 950. So massive. Like I say, it's hugely important, so make sure you check this whenever you get any new gear. So going through here, see we've got a 10 increase, but we've also got another one over here, so check that as well. We've got no crit on that, so this is going to be the best one. So we go crit, swap that, and 260 more BP. So this is a really easy way to bump up your BP, guys, so you need to be checking this and doing your agency assessments. It's a really large amount of BP you get over time. So then we'll look at the last two. Nothing really there I'm too bothered about. HB, we haven't got any on that. And boots. So boots here, we've got HB, penetration, and nothing too great. I think we should be able to stat transfer. No. Okay, so we can't stat transfer. So the other thing is look at the level as well. So level 40, you can only have 4 stats. 50, you can have 5 stats, and 60, you can have 6 stats. So just bear that in mind. So at the moment, we've got 2 recommended pieces here. So when you click on them, you'll look and they have much less stats. But the best thing that you can do, like I just showed you, is stat transfer. So this shows it's better, but actually there's no increase. So I'm not too bothered about swapping this, as I don't gain anything. Whereas this one here, you see I get 6 extra base attack and 37 more HP. So that is an increase overall. So look at the BPs, it's actually 61 BP lower, but what I'll do is equip it. I'll lose 735 BP. Now we go and find the boots that we just swapped with. So this is the pair here that we just swapped out. We click on these, and as you can see, we've only got 2 pairs of stats on this, whereas we've got 4 on this. So what we can do now is stat transfer over from the old set of boots. So we have way higher attack on this, so 58, transfer that over. 1,106 BP increase. Penetration, we haven't got any on there, so we've got 3 spare slots there, so we can add on the crit damage as well. Lovely. So we transferred all them over, and now we want to see if we've got any other boots with any stats. So we haven't got any increasements here. Increasements? We haven't got any increases there. Apparently, I've made a new word. So we haven't got any increases there. So what we're adding HP, because that still increases our BP and it doesn't make us tankier. So we've got that in there. We've got no more boots left to swap stats over, so that's good. So now what we can do is just have a quick check through. We did that at the start, but we've basically got no more stats we can transfer for an increase. So we won't worry about that too much now. So we've done that. So you've equipped all your gear, you've transferred all your stats. Everything looks good there. So what else can you do? The next thing to look at is enhancing. So what you can do is you can enhance your gear. Now, when you do this, you're not enhancing the actual gear, you're enhancing the slot. So if you do the protection gear, the head gear, capturing gear, whichever one you're doing, you're actually doing the slot, not the gear. So don't worry, if you swap out your gear, it's not going to restart at level 1. You're actually only doing the slot. So the main thing you want to do with this, guys, is you want to equally do 6 at a time. So every time you do 6 slots to the same level of 10, you get a bonus. So as you can see here, I've got 5 of them to 60. I've got 1 at 40. Now what I tend to do, and this is me personally, you don't need to do the same here. I tend to leave the comm gear till last. So I wait until the resource down here is gone to the next tier up, and then I start doing comm gear. That's just how I've been doing it. It seems to be doing alright doing it that way, because that way I can try and push for the bonus as quickly as possible. So you can see here I've got 5 of these at 60. This one's at 59. So what I'll do here is I'll enhance. And bear in mind, guys, as well, the cost goes up pretty exponentially. So it's now 100,000 cash just for 1 upgrade. So be careful with money. You need to make sure you're farming money each day so you can do this. So we change this from 59. We'll enhance it. It goes up +4. But when we enhance, you'll see come up now. You should do. NANI? So guys, I just leveled the last one up to 60, as you saw there, but for some reason I didn't get the bonus. I'm not sure why that didn't do it at 60, but on every 10 increment prior, so whenever you got 6 pieces to 10, that gave us a bonus, 6 pieces to 20, that gave us another bonus, 30, 40, and 50. It appears that 60 doesn't seem to do this, but it still stands. Make sure you level up equally, guys, up to the 10. So once you got everything to 50, then you can start doing the comms gear as well. I'm not sure why it doesn't do this at 60 when it has done on every prior increment, but it still stands, guys. So try and get your 6 pieces of gear leveled up to 50 equally. I still try and let the comms gear and do that last, but what I'll do is I'll try and level this up a bit more. No, it hasn't changed. How bizarre. But we'll level up the comms gear, get that up to 60, and then we'll have a look there. If it has changed, maybe it changes to 60. If it has done that, guys, I'll let you know. But that's another way to increase your BP, guys, so make sure you're doing it. Make sure you're enhancing your gear. You get these from doing agency assessments as well, and getting your chest, you get given a bunch every week. Next we're going to look at is boost, guys. So boost is what you can do to boost the gear slot. Now this is a star system up to 5. I'm assuming it will probably go into like an awaken mode once we hit 5 stars. Not entirely sure yet, but judging by how close we are already to 5 star, I'm assuming that's going to be the case. So this is the same thing. You're boosting the slot, not the piece of gear. So what I've been doing, and I'd recommend you do, is do everything equally. So get everything to 1 star, then everything to 2 star, and everything to 3 star. Because what happens is with each level, you increase the cost of these, which are normal alloys. So if you look at the 3 star, it's going to cost me 5, whereas the 2 star only costs me 4. And a 1 star will be 3. So when you've got nothing, it's 2, then goes 3, 4, and 5. So the best way to use them and get the most BP gain is to do them equally. That way you're not using too much alloy just on one slot. So be careful with that, guys. So here you can see I'm about to boost this one slot here, so my headgear slot, and I enhance boost there, and we get 946 BP increase, and we've got 26 stats on all of them. So bear in mind, you do that each time. We've got 946, so if you do that in each slot, that's times 7, so that's nearly 1,000. So you've got probably about 6,500 BP overall. Bit of napkin math there for you guys. But you've got that there, so that's just another thing to make sure you're doing. Try and make sure you get these guys. If you don't know how to get these, I'll show you guys now before we go on to modify. What you can do is, with your gear slot here, go down to market. Now with any piece of the gear here that you don't need, make sure you keep your legendaries, but you can go down to market here, and any of these epic pieces that you're not going to use and you don't need the stats on, what you can do is you can sell these. So you go in here, market, you sell. Now the level 40 pieces I no longer need now. I'm level 50, so I don't need the 40 pieces. They're not going to be as good for me. So what I'll do is I will sell all the level 40 pieces. That's 450 of this cash. So you sell that. Make sure you keep the legendaries for your level though, guys, because you can fuse these, which I'll show you in a minute. And then what you can do is you can go to buy, and you can buy these alloys. You can buy the modification drawings, credits, food, and enhancing mixtures. I would say get the normal alloys first before you buy anything else. If you have any spare cash afterwards, I would get the modification drawings. But this costs 1,000 each, so if you can try and get 2,000 of the cash every 3 days, which is the period, the shop resets as well at the same time. And if you can do that, guys, then you can end up making sure you get around 4 to 6 normal alloys each week. So obviously that helps with boosting your gear and will overall over time massively increase your BP. So make sure you're doing it, guys. And the modification drawings, you can get them dropped from assessments, which you can keep doing, but obviously if you can get an extra 10 a week or every 3 days, it's also nice to get. So what I'll do here is I've got 1450 there, so I'll buy all of these. There you go. So I've got an extra 5. That's sold out. I don't tend to buy anything else in here because I just feel like these are the most worth, and saving your cash is a good idea. If you end up with thousands and thousands and you don't need it, then yeah, feel free to get some credits or enhancing mixtures. But I like to keep them just so I make sure when the shop refreshes, like tomorrow, I can easily get enough to then get the alloys again. So just make sure you're doing that, boys and girls. Right, back to where we were. So if we go to modify now, so we just bought those modification drawings, which are down here. So this is the next way to improve your BP. So this way it works in a 3-tier upgrade. So if you look here, I've got all of these +5, and if you look here, they're all 0 out of 3, except for that one that's 1 out of 3. So we'll do this one first. So what you want to do is modify, and it will use 5 of these, which the cost goes up with this as well, same as the previous ones, guys. So as you go up in levels, the cost of the modification drawings goes up as well. So +5, we're going to do modify, and that's gone up 1, we've got 118. This can actually crit as well, guys. So if you're on 0 or 1 out of 3, it can crit and give you 2 stages. So just bear that in mind, which is quite nice. It saves some resources. So modify again, and there we go. So we went up 200 there. We got 3 attack and 18 HP. So close that. Now, the reason we want to do this evenly, like I said, this goes up to 6 next. So do it evenly, and that way you're spreading the cost of the resources equally. So next we go up to belt. I tend to do the middle row first, guys, then the top, and then comms gear last. Like I said, that's my personal preference. I'm not sure if that's entirely the best way for BP. The middle section definitely seems like the best though, due to the fact it's just base attack. Then you've got your crit damage, and penetration, which are all good attack stats. And finally at the bottom you've got damage increase. Now that's a percentage, so it actually takes quite a lot of that stat to be massively impactful, which is why I leave it to last. So next we'll do the belt. So we've got enough there for 3 upgrades, definitely. So let's see if we get a crit. So modify, and we got a crit right there. So we went 243, and we went up 2 out of 3. So now we can do another modify, and that way it only cost us 10 instead of 15. So bear in mind, guys, you can get lucky, and that can happen as well. So +6. So next we go on to the boots, and we've only got enough for 2 here. So if you get a crit, then we can level it up. If not, we'll have to wait till we get more resources. So modify, only 119. Can we get a crit? Feels bad. We didn't. But that's fine. So make sure you're doing that, guys. Another way of improving your gear. So make sure you're doing agency assessments every day if you can, guys. You get 2 stamina per unit. So try and use all your stamina if you can. I mean, it's a lot of playing the game if you want to use 2 stamina every unit, but try and make sure you're at least getting in maybe 5 to 10 every day. Just try and farm them and obviously improve your BP. So with that, we've now boosted our gear to the max that we have in resources right now. So we've enhanced our gear, we've boosted our gear, and modified our gear. So bear in mind at the start, we were at 9250, and now we're at 9837. So we have gone up in total, we have gone up 587, I think. If I'm wrong, tell me in chat. We're going to do quick maths in the head. That will do. That's probably right. So with that, 587 is what I'm going to say. And that's just a few minutes with some resources I've saved. So obviously, if you guys are doing this every day throughout the week, you're obviously going to improve it by over 1,000, maybe more. So make sure you're doing agency assessments and farming these resources, guys. Now, the next thing you can do, so let's say you got to this point like me where you don't need to transfer any gear. So there's nothing you can do with it, but you don't want to sell it. So with the legendary gear, guys, you want to go down to fuse, and you can fuse 4 pieces of legendary gear into ultra gear. Now, the one thing to note with this is if you use 4 of the same headpiece, so if you did 4 headpieces, it's going to give you a headpiece. But when you use random pieces, it's going to just randomize which piece of gear you get. Now, unfortunately, I've got one of every type of piece, which is excellent preparation for the video. But I can now combine these and I'll get a random ultra gear piece. So what I'll do is I'll fuse, and there you go, I've got hands. So I've got ultra gear hands. So now I go look at this warehouse, and if you look here, 21 and 21. So obviously that's a really big stat increase, and we've got 75 penetration. So that's huge as well. So what we do here, it's 100% perfect as well, which is great. So when you get ultra gear, nearly every time you get ultra gear, it will be better than your legendary gear. So make sure you do this, guys. Save your legendaries that don't have good stats, fuse them, and if you find you've only got, let's say you get to a point where you've got, like I've got 2 ultra pieces here, and you've only got 2 specific ones left, I would wait until you've got those pieces of legendary gear and only fuse them. Because like I said, if you've got 4 pieces of leg gear, it's going to give you a leg piece. So if you've only got legs left, just wait till you've got 4 legendary leg pieces, because the last thing you want to do is have 2 pieces of the leg legendaries, a comms piece and a chest, combine it, and then you get a chest again. That way you're wasting out on the potential BP gain on the legs, or feet should I say. So make sure you're doing that, boys and girls. So what we're doing now, we'll equip this and we'll see what the difference is. So there we go, we get minus 1,631. So we lose there, so we're 712 there. But if we look at what it was beforehand, boys and girls, so we go equip. So bear in mind, we are 9837. So what we do, we'll equip this, and now we will transfer out over all the stats. So transfer them all over. So we want the attack, we want our crit, and our crit damage. And what we do is swap the tenacity with the defense. Decrease, sorry. In fact, decrease and tenacity pretty much do the same. So one's a damage decrease and one's an increase in defensive power. So we won't worry too much about that one right now. So we'll leave that. So now we look at this, and we went up by 145, I believe. 145 BP. So just from getting that ultra piece, we went up 145 BP. So bear in mind, if you do that with multiple pieces, if you think about it, if you do it across all of your gear, that's 7 times that. So you're at nearly 1,000 BP gain just from ultra gearing all of your gear. So massive increase again, guys. Make sure you're doing it. So that's it for gear. That's as much as you can do with it and what you need to aim to do. So now what we're going to look at, I'll show you guys with the agency. So we go up to agency assessment. Now the other thing you want to try and do, guys, this is what I was on about here, the high yield attempts. 4 out of 5. And if you look up here, I've got 3 days to do this. So you want to make sure you get in all 5 of your high yields. So you want to make sure you get all 5 of your legendaries. Sometimes you can be lucky and you get double legendaries from one run. Also, I've just realized that my camera is blocking this. So what we're going to do, boys and girls, is boom. There you go. So there you go. High yield attempt left us round 4 out of 5. So that's where it is, boys and girls. So make sure you're getting that done. So you want to try and get all 5 of them done in the 3-day period. That way you get your 5 legendaries, or potentially more if you get lucky. So after you've done your 5 attempts, and you've got that, what you should try and also aim for, guys, is hitting floor 15 of the level you're on. So I'm level 50, so I want to make sure I get to a 15 floor. And what you do is, when you get to the 15th floor, you get this chest here. So depending on how high of a floor you get up to, if you only get up to a floor 3 or 5, you get a box with level 50 epic gear, you get some enhancing mixtures, and some one alloy, sorry. Now what you want to ideally be aiming for is at least 9 to 11. Ideally, you want a 15. If you can do a 15, you get 3 pieces of legendary gear, you get 70 enhancing mixtures, and 2 alloys. But at minimum, I would say you can try and just go for the 9 to 11, but at least try and get a 12 to 14, because that way you get double alloys and at least 2 legendaries. But if you can hit the 15, that's perfect, because you get 3 extra legendary pieces, which obviously are going to increase your BP, hopefully, if you get some good stats on them. If not, then you only need 1 more legendary, and then you can fuse it for a piece of ultra gear, which will most definitely increase your BP, as long as you're not fully ultra geared out. So that's another thing you need to try and make sure you do, guys. And like I said, every time you do an assessment, if you go and create team, so if I set my key, so bear in mind you get these modification drawings, you get your enhancing mixtures, and obviously gear. And all 3 of these, so no matter what, whenever you finish an assessment, you're getting something that will increase your BP. And like I said, guys, you've got 2 attempts per hero. So my All Might at the moment, I've got 2 attempts on. I've got 1 on my Eder at the moment. So if you looked at all your heroes and you used all your stamina in one day, you have 26 runs a day. Now, obviously, that's unrealistic. Most of you aren't going to do that many runs a day. But I would still try and do at least 5, maybe 10 a day if you can, guys, because the BP increase, it really does help. I obviously haven't done mine today, so I'll have to get on that. But the other thing you can do as well, let's say you've got your key up to an 18, you finished your key, you can't do any higher. What you want to ideally try and do is join someone else's. And if you have some weak units that you know you can't do higher level keys on, that's fine. You can still try and get modification drawings, and you can also try and get enhancing mixtures. So join team and try and look for a low tier key. So if you're trying to look for a low one, here you go, we've got level 5. Ideally, we'll join this quickly, just see, so 35k. So that's not too bad to join. I'm sorry, I'm going to bait these guys out. Think I'm taking my All Might, but I'm not. So 35k BP, so you can take a weaker unit. Whereas when you do the higher floors, so if you're doing like a 15, I believe that's around 60k BP requirement. So obviously you're going to need your strongest unit. So that'll probably be if you've got him All Might, or maybe a Bakugo, Tokiyami, Todoroki. One of your very strong units is what you're going to have to take. So when you've got the weaker units, just try and do low tier keys, even if it's only a level 1, level 2. Although it's obviously only epic gear you're getting, you can still trade that in for the cash in the shop. You can obviously get the enhancing mixtures, which you can then use to enhance. And you can also get the blueprints to do modifications. So make sure you're doing it, guys. It's a huge increase to BP. And once you start doing stuff like this, you'll notice here, my BP has gone up since the start of the video. We're at 406, and now we're at 470. That's the BP guide for gear, guys. I hope that's helped you all. If it has, don't forget to leave a like. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. And hopefully I'll catch you guys soon. Thanks a lot. Take care. And cheers.